that trend and Eicher Motor, they could also manage to end in the green. On the losing side, post earnings, Britannia, Asian Paint, Apollo Hospital, Adani Ports, Tata Steel, all these names were beaten down badly in the range of 6.5% to 14.5%. तो देखिए ये है स्नैपशॉट हमारे लास्ट वीक की परफॉर्मेंस का। तो हम सबको पता है इस तरीके से मार्केट में रिकॉर्ड हाई से प्रॉफिट टेकिंग चलती आ रही है। बीच में एक वीक जरूर पॉज में आया था, बट लार्जली नेगेटिव टोन मार्केट में बना हुआ है। इस हफ्ते करीब 2.5% के कट। निफ्टी सेंसेक्स में केवल आईटी पॉजिटिव में क्लोज कर पाया सेक्टोरल फ्रंट पे, बाकी सारे सेक्टर्स आपको नेगेटिव साइड में नजर आएंगे। और ऐसा ही ये निफ्टी के टॉप 5 गेनर्स और लूजर्स की बास्केट में भी आपको नजर आएगा कि आईटी काउंटर्स ही थोड़ा बहुत ठीक ठाक परफॉर्म कर पाए, अदरवाइज कुछ एक स्टॉक्स जिनमें थोड़ा सा बाउंस था आफ्टर डिक्लाइन, लाइक ट्रेंड और आइशर पोस्ट नंबर्स ने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया। ज्यादातर बाकी नाम आपको नेगेटिव साइड पे नजर आएंगे। दिस इज द स्नैपशॉट ऑफ द वीक। नाउ how we are placed on index, Nifty index first, we'll talk about that. So is the daily graph of Nifty index, and last week we were talking about this tussle zone, 24,000, 24,500. So we breached that mark decisively and we reached to this red line, as you can see on your screen. This is the long-term moving average, 200 days of exponential moving average. In the past two instances, if you'll see here and in November last year, we have tested that mark and then there was a strong recovery in the market. So are we going to see a similar kind of a move this time around also? It's very difficult to comment on that part. But yes, pause consolidation is something that is likely after retesting of its long-term moving average. And in case of a bounce, 23,900, which was earlier acting as a support, will act as a first resistance, and then 24,200. Downside, in case if we fail to hold this 23,500 mark, then 23,100, 22,700, around this area is something that Nifty might slips to. तो देखिए ये डेली ग्राफ है इंडेक्स का। लास्ट वीक जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे कि 24,000 24,500 की रेंज है बेसिकली। जिस साइड पे ब्रेक होगा उस साइड पे मार्केट जाएगा। ब्रेक हुआ नीचे के साइड पे और आपने देखा कि जो ये लाल लाइन है, ये जो इंडिकेट करती है लॉन्ग टर्म ट्रेंड मार्केट का, उसका रीटेस्ट हो गया आफ्टर 5 मंथ्स। ये करीब जून में हुआ था, उससे पहले ये लास्ट नवंबर में हुआ था। तो दोनों इंस्टेंस में जैसे आप देख पा रहे हैं कि उसके बाद एक अच्छी रैली, स्ट्रॉन्ग रैली आई थी, बट उस टाइम पे सर्कमस्टेंसेस अलग थे, मार्केट की परफॉर्मेंस के पैरामीटर्स अलग थे। यहाँ पे ये एज्यूम कर लेना कि इस तरीके का मूव आएगा या नहीं आएगा, इट्स टू अर्ली टू से, टू बी ऑनेस्ट। यहाँ पे यस, एक चीज जरूर है कि इन लेवल्स के पास जब भी आप मेजर सपोर्ट्स के पास आते हैं, थोड़ा बहुत मार्केट जरूर रिस्पेक्ट करती है, थोड़ा कंसोलिडेट करती है। और वही चीजें भी हम देख भी रहे हैं मार्केट में कि एक पॉज आज के सेशन में हमने देखा, क्योंकि सेशन ये लाइन कल के सेशन में टेस्ट हो गई थी। अब अगर बाउंस होता है तो 23,900 से लेकर 24,200 का जोन है, वो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग रेजिस्टेंस करेगा, क्योंकि अभी भी बायस नेगेटिव साइड पे है, तो सेल ऑन राइज ज्यादा हावी रहेगा इंडेक्स में। वहीं पे अगर ये ब्रेक हो गया बगैर ज्यादा मेजर बाउंस के, तो फिर नीचे पे आपको 23,100 22,700 तक के लेवल्स के लिए तैयार रहना पड़ेगा। ऑलमोस्ट करीब 11% की गिरावट ऑलरेडी हम देख चुके हैं रिकॉर्ड हाई से, और ये काफी लंबे टाइम बाद एक डिसाइसिव करेक्शन है। तो इंडेक्स में अभी के लिए एक पॉज, बट टोन नेगेटिव है, इस चीज के हिसाब से हमको प्लान करके चलना है, ये लेवल्स को ध्यान रखना है। नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द डिसाइडिंग फैक्टर. So one sector that we have been discussing for quite some time is IT, which is the key sector, and we are focusing on that, and is the only sector now left wherein we are seeing strength. The rest of the pack, they are either trading in a range or witnessing a negative bias. Banking, it was trading in a range till last week. Finally, there's a breakdown. So if you remember last week, we discussed about 50,500 to 52,600. this range. We were discussing about that range, and banking also slipped below that mark, this lower band. And this red line, the long-term average, is something that we have tested in the banking index as well. So now what? So since the other sectors, they have already been in a corrective tone, be it FMCG, energy, auto, metals. It's not that they can't correct further, but yes, we have not seen much correction in banking yet or in IT yet. IT looks comparatively better, so we are excluding IT for a time being now, that we are not going to see any major correction is something that the indications that we have from the IT. So the only sector which is left with is banking. So 49,900, this red line support is the make or break area for the next week. If we fail to hold 49,900, then we are set for the fresh correction, which might push the index toward 48,500 or maybe lower. Right. Upside 51,200 to 52,500 is the resistance zone. So this area, 100 EMA, and then this top of this range will be the strong resistance zone for the banking index. So here also we should be in wait and watch approach, because we are at the critical juncture. So one should not hurry into a trade. Within the private banking space also, PSU space also, we have some of the names like HDFC, ICICI, Federal Bank, SBI. They are comparatively better, but since the market tone as the index tone has turned negative, we usually see some profit taking in these strong names also. So there's no point going against the trend. And yes, as an investor, definitely one can utilize this opportunity to accumulate quality counters. Right? So देखिए ये बैंकिंग है, और आप मान के चलिए कि नेक्स्ट वीक में जो भी कुछ होगा मार्केट में लार्जली ये डिसाइड करेगा. आईटी को मैं इसके लिए थोड़ा एक्सक्लूड कर रहा हूँ, बिकॉज आईटी में जो स्ट्रेंथ है वो बनी हुई है. उसमें भी 2 हफ्ते पहले एक करेक्शन आया था, बट उसको बहुत जल्दी उसने रिक्लेम कर लिया. तो वहां से एक मेजर करेक्शन की उम्मीद कम है. तो अब केवल बैंकिंग है जहां पे कि अभी तक खास करेक्शन नहीं आई है, आउट परफॉर्मेंस चल रही थी काफी टाइम से. अगर यहाँ पे 49,900 गया, ये रेड लाइन के नीचे अगर ये बैंक निफ्टी स्लिप करता है, तो फिर मार्केट के लिए प्रॉब्लम और बढ़ेगी, जो कि 23,100 की बात हम कर रहे हैं. पॉसिबिलिटी वो उसी की वजह से आ सकती है कि अगर बैंकिंग यहाँ पे वीक हो जाए. राइट. सो ये देखते हुए अभी के लिए अगर कोई एक चीज, क्योंकि अर्निंग्स भी अब ओवर हो चुकी है, ग्लोबल क्लूज को हम देख नहीं रहे हैं. यूएस मार्केट बहुत अच्छा कर रही है, बट हम उसको क्लूज को ले ही नहीं रहे हैं. और बस केवल यही रहता है कि बैंकिंग किस तरीके से परफॉर्म करेगा, वो डिसाइड करेगा कि मार्केट इंडेक्स बेसिकली निफ्टी किस तरीके से परफॉर्म करेगी. राइट. सो दिस इज अबाउट बोथ निफ्टी एंड द बैंकिंग इंडेक्स. नाउ stocks which should be focusing. So again here, for almost several weeks we are saying just one thing: stick with IT. There's no other sector which gives us comfort that even if this correction continues, the pace of decline or the correction could be slower in IT pack in comparison to the others, and that is what we are seeing. In fact, most of the name they are doing well, means HCL Tech, Infosys, they are ending in green. Within the large cap IT basket name, we feel TCS also. So it also slipped closer to its previous major consolidation on support zone. So we have multiple supports, last neckline area of this previous consolidation range and this trend line support also. So this 3900, 3850 zone is very strong support for the TCS. So it's a one counter in the index heavyweights that one can continue to look at for accumulation during this market correction. Because the sector, which I always say outperforms during the market decline, usually be the next leader in the bull run. राइट. सो आईटी में जैसे कि हम बहुत टाइम से बात कर रहे हैं, जब से मार्केट की करेक्शन शुरू हुई है तब से, कि एक यही सेक्टर है जहाँ पे कि आपको अभी एक सेफ्टी का फीलिंग है. और मैं कहता हूँ कि अगर मार्केट में लेट्स से करेक्शन यहाँ पे स्टार्ट भी हो जाता है, तो इसमें जो करेक्शन होगा उसका क्वांटम बहुत कम होगा इन कंपैरिजन टू जो दूसरे सेक्टर्स हैं. तो वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट एचसीएल टेक, वो रिकॉर्ड हाई पे है. इन्फोसिस ऑलमोस्ट अपने रिकॉर्ड हाई के पास पहुंचने वाला है. वी आर लेफ्ट विद टीसीएस. यहाँ पे भी इंडिकेशंस यही है कि आपको एक रिकवरी, एक रीबाउंड देखने को मिलेगा. तो ये एक स्टॉक जो कि आपने रडार पे रख सकते हैं फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक. Next on the list is Pyramid Enterprise. So this also we have discussed, I guess, a couple of times in the past webinars, and there's the same reason that why I'm going to discuss about this stock again. The consolidation, the tight consolidation which we are seeing in the stock means irrespective of the market move, it's strongly holding the 1,100 band. And even if, let's say, it corrects, then we have multiple supports around 950 here as a trend line, and this multiple moving average support also. The good part is the downside seems capped in Pilamil at current level. And in case if it manages to cross 1100, then obviously there'll be the risk to reward means we can any time reach to 1300, 1350 levels. The risk reward is much favorable in Pyramid Enterprise, and in the market like this, wherein we are seeing excessive volatility, one should look for names wherein we know that the base is near, means the support is closure, and that support is also very decisive. So this 950 to 1000 zone is a very strong support zone for Pyramid Enterprise. So this could be one of the counter which one can keep on radar. Lastly on the list, LIC Housing Finance. So a clear-cut distribution pattern, those who understand, the basics of technical analysis, a head and shoulder pattern, followed by a breakdown, then a reattempt of recovery. This stock also we have discussed in past also. So a classic, distribution pattern breakdown and the followed move. So after this, failed attempt to reclaim its neckline area, again we are seeing, gradual decline. So this stock may witness further pressure, and since most of the stock they have seen sharp correction in the recent past, so identifying the right stock to short even at current level is very difficult. So LIC Housing Finance, REC, PFC, they are still in a range. So in case if they witness fresh breakdown, these are some of the candidates which one can keep on radar. तो देखिए जैसे पीएल की हमने बात की कि एक बहुत टाइट रेंज में ट्रेड कर रहा है ऑन दी फॉर दी लॉन्ग साइड, वहीं पे उस तरीके से रिवर्स में एलआईसी हाउसिंग फाइनेंस एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन पैटर्न के ब्रेकडाउन के बाद, एक करेक्टिव टोन के बाद, तो अब वहां पे कंटिन्यूशन चल रहा है इस मूव का, कि बेसिकली एक अटेम्प्ट हुआ रिकवरी का, बट वो रिकवरी सस्टेन नहीं हो पाई. जो रेड लाइन आप देख पा रहे हैं उसी को रीटेस्ट किया, फिर दोबारा से यहाँ से गिरावट. तो एंटिसिपेशन ये है कि ये करेक्शन कंटिन्यू रहेगी, यहाँ पे प्रेशर कंटिन्यू रह सकता है, तो ये शॉर्टिंग कैंडिडेट होता है. तो इन्फोसिस, सॉरी टीसीएस, पीईएल यहाँ पे एक्यूमुलेशन के लिए देख सकते हैं, एंड एलआईसी हाउसिंग जहाँ पे की शॉर्टिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज बन सकती है नेक्स्ट वीक में. ऑलराइट, सो if I'll sum it up, market, we are at a critical juncture, 200 days of exponential moving average for both Nifty and the banking index. For Nifty, this 23,500 zone, for banking index 49,900. These are the two critical areas. As long as we are maintaining above this mark, there will be a possibility of a bounce. Otherwise, negative tone may continue. All depends how banking is going to perform. So 49,900 is something that you should keep on radar in banking index, and that would decide the overall trend for the market. In the meanwhile, sector specific TCS, like the IT basket, is looking strong. Then we have Pyramid Enterprise, where we are seeing strong consolidation. And lastly, on the distribution side, LIC Housing Finance, which can be considered for short. right? So this is all from the presentation part. Let's have a quick feedback poll, and then we can start with the Q&A. So any questions, if you have, you can just use that Q&A button in front of your screen, and you can ask your question. कोई भी सवाल है आपका, एक फीडबैक या फिल करके जो भी सवाल है अपने Q&A बटन यूज करते हुए अपना पूछ सकते हैं. All right, so we are almost done with the feedback. So जिनका feedback हो गया है, they can start posting their question. ये Q&A का बटन है आपकी स्क्रीन पर, उसको यूज करते हुए. Okay, so let's start with Q&A now. Okay, so Mr. Singh, like as we have discussed at the beginning of the presentation, that stock-specific queries is something that we avoid. Otherwise, this session is going to be unending. Still, I would answer your query in a way that how we are looking at the defense counters. So defense-related stocks, of late, selective stocks, they are doing well. So be it HAL, BEL, they have done better within the defense basket for one reason, that counters which have export capabilities, companies which have export capabilities, they are witnessing rebound and they are posting, in fact, better numbers also. So, but yes, volatility is across the board, and even the good counters, we are seeing excessive volatile swings. So for a time being now, one should refrain from aggressive longs in these names. I feel that if you have made investment in the top names, then you should stay put. You should not worry much about the short-term volatility. But if your view is short-term, then one should refrain from these names because they are extremely volatile at present, right? So let them stabilize a bit, form some base, and then you can consider. All right. So Pratap Kumarji has this question: Nifty made a doji on daily chart. Also, there's a higher side. Can we expect a bounce? So that is what we've shared, Mr. Kumar, that there's a possibility that we might see a bounce because we are at the critical juncture of 200 days of exponential moving average. So until we break that mark decisively, 23,500, and that to be aligned with the banking move, there'll be a possibility that we might see some bounce. But it's just a bounce. We need to see how much this bounce sustains. That is going to be critical in the coming sessions. Okay, next, Mr. Ravi has again a stock specific query. So again, I would answer in a way that how we are seeing auto sector. So auto sector is also seeing extreme pressure, means the auto index has also slipped below its major averages, even the long-term moving averages also. So majority of stocks are under pressure, except a couple of names like iShares, which is holding strong. Then we have M&M, which is holding okay. The rest of the name, they are either seeing correction or taking a pause after a sharp correction. So for a time being now, one should refrain from aggressive long in the autos pack. If you have made any investment based on any particular fundamental parameters, you should act accordingly. And one should not confuse short-term trade to the long-term investment. So if you have made investment and if the stock has corrected for some reason or the other, but the fundamentals are intact, then you should definitely stay put. Okay, next, Mr. Karthikeyan has this question: does Maharashtra election make any change in the market? I doubt that the state level election is going to have any major impact on the market as such. So, iske bare mein we should not be worried about state elections and all. We have bigger reasons to worry, that the earnings season, which is just about to end, there were multiple challenges. Then we have continuous outflow from the FIs. These are the two critical factors basically which is keeping our markets on toes. Okay, next we have Chandan on FMCG sector. So yes, this sector has also disappointed big time during the earnings season, and that's the reflection which we are seeing in the stock prices also. So despite the extreme oversold position, we are not seeing any pause or a bounce in any of these FMCG majors. But today also, like HUL and the other names, they are witnessing pressure. So for a time being now, they may see some bounce every now and then, but sustained move is something which may take time. So if somebody is having any trading position, they should utilize their any rebound to exit their longs, because selective stocks, they have reached to their critical supports, but it's very difficult to say whether we are going to see the reversal anytime soon or not. So trading is different from investment, like I always say, and if your stop loss is already triggered and you're just sitting on hope that we'll see some bounce, uh, and then this bounce may end up being a reversal. So it's very difficult at present for at least for the FMCG space. For Zidinji, we have already discussed about auto packs, so I hope it answers your query. Then we have anonymous attendee on gold and silver. So yes, though we were discussing about equity markets in general, but of late we have seen a very sharp correction in both bullion metals like gold and silver. So after this correction, we are closer to the immediate support for both gold and silver, and there's a possibility that we might see a breather. So let's say for gold, I'll just share the levels which are critical, because if somebody has made investment even through ETFs, and in case if somebody wish to make any investment, I feel it's a good time considering that we have seen decent correction from the record highs. So for international gold, we are currently at 2540, and based on the correction, maybe closer to around 2500 to 2450 zone. We expect this correction to be over, at least for this leg after this strong move. And similarly, if we talk about on MCX, that we are already in the support area, means 73,000, 74,500 is the support zone. So we expect now gold to witness some bounce. The challenge that we are currently facing, why gold is witnessing this correction, is due to the strength in dollar against the other currencies. So the dollar index have moved up sharply of late, surpassing the major resistance around 105. But now the next resistance is near close to around 107. So that may result in some cool off in the dollar, and that may result in some bounce in gold as well. Okay, what next? Okay, as everyone is eager to know, when would one expect this downturn to stop? Is there any possibility in a month, or we should wait for the next month for stability? So it's very difficult, and I doubt that anybody can put their finger that market's going to stop there. But to put certain data pointers for your reference, we have already corrected around 11% from the record highs, and in a bull market, 15 to 20% correction is normal. So we have just corrected 11% in the Nifty. So accordingly, you can consider that any 5 to 7% further cut, something that should be considered as a normal correction in the market. So at least for the index level is something that you can calculate, but that not necessarily translate into stocks, particularly because they may behave erratic during this next leg of down move if it happens. So even if, let's say, index corrects 7%, the stock may correct further depending upon the earnings and the other factors, basically how the investor is perceiving the value and all. So index fund, at least something that one should be prepared for is 5 to 7% more. So like I've shared, Mr. Singh, about defense counters. So investing into futures is not investing, it's trading. So do not invest uh, through leverage position. Always look for investment through cash delivery, and with a clear time horizon, the rationals that why I am buying this, that should be in place as well. Okay, next, again, stock specific queries. Okay, so metals as a sector, yes. Next, Mr. Rajiv Kumar has metal as a sector, and metals also we are seeing majority of the names. Earlier we were seeing certain outliers, but now majority of the names they are under pressure. So we expect this negative tone to continue in the coming week as well, considering the overall scenario in the commodity basket. And stock specific, though we are very closer to the critical support in some of these names, but since they are high beta counters, largely most of the metal counters they are high beta in nature, one should wait for some sign of reversal or recovery. So for a time being now, one should wait and see at least for a week or two for any sign of stability in metal sector also. So any high beta counters or sector is something that one should refrain for a time being now if you are looking for long trades specifically, right? Because if you'll go wrong badly, right? So high beta counters, that's the reason why we are keep on reiterating our view that stick with IT, wherein we have less volatility. Sector is outperforming, the other pairs, and everything is basically aligned. So not every time you should be like, brave in the market and just take something on the basis of that this could be the bottom, right, on this anticipation. So for a time being now, metal is something that one should wait and watch. All right, so rest are more of stock specific queries. So anyways, we have largely covered all the sectors also. So since we are at the critical juncture, and like what we've shared, uh, banking will be the key deciding factor next week. So focus on that. Limit your positions. Prefer cash positions instead of derivative position. If you are using derivatives, use it for hedging, not for speculating. Means just by buying option is not going to help you. If you are buying option to hedge your longs by buying nifty puts, let's say, then it makes sense. Until we see any sign of reversal or recovery or some stability, that is the kind of approach that one should consider. And as and when we see any sign of reversal or recovery also in the market, start with cash position, see how this market unfolds, and then you can, again resume your overall position sizing and trading approach. So hope this helps you next week. And next week again on 22nd, yes, we'll connect next Friday, same time. So till then, take care. Thank you everyone for joining in.